Hello.
Mr. Hudson.
Oh, good morning, Jason. How are you?
Good morning to you as well. I'm sorry to intrude on your Labor Day, but there's been a lot of activity I think you've probably seen.
You mean on our last Hudson report?
Well, the comments on the video that we put up last night, and also just my phone's been ringing off the hook. King James has some contacts within Korea who he says have been very active, and there just seems to be a lot going on.
Okay. I really like King James and really value his opinions. I think the man is very informed, and I like his approach and his views. So what's going on there, Jason?
Well, he's got two specific contacts who, as soon as you and I are done, I'm going to call him to get the full update. But I just received a message from him that people who he knows who have military contacts in Korea are saying there's just a very high level of activity there.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep, there is.
I was surprised by a lot of the comments on your last call because, I mean, people are saying somehow what you're saying isn't true or that it's deep state. I mean, the fact is there was an explosion in North Korea. How it got there, how the technology got in the hands of the North Korean government, it's kind of irrelevant. There does seem, by every indication, to be an imminent military conflict brewing, and that's the important message.
Well, there's definitely discussion about it.
Right.
Otherwise, the United Nations, I'm not saying I am a supporter of the United Nations. I'm not.
Right.
But for them to call an emergency meeting of the Security Council, I think is pretty significant.
Agreed.
Deep state or otherwise.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But yes, I've noticed some of the comments, and it's quite interesting. I mean, some of them are just idiotic, to be honest about it, uninformed.
It doesn't make sense to me that someone would spend hours and hours posting negative comments about a video. I mean, me personally, if I see a video on YouTube that I don't agree with or don't like, I generally just click off of it and go to another video. Sometimes there are people that I follow that post things that I don't agree with, and I feel the need to engage them in conversation, but I don't really understand the process of going through and putting negative comments on each of the individual posters, hovering around in the chat and in the comment section for hours on end. Doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't, unless they're just wanting to poison, they're serving as a poison dart is what I would call them,
Right.
Inserting themselves as the rotten apple in the bushel basket of nice apples, and their intention is to slowly rot the others.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it. I don't pay a lot of attention to it. What bothers me is when these comments do have a negative effect on people that have a genuine interest of knowing and understanding the truth, and these people are there to poison them and to basically discourage them on finding anything out, and possibly discouraging them to take some, just some simple, sensible precautions.
Right.
Nothing was discussed to harm anybody or to it's pretty funny. I mean, it's quite interesting, actually.
The other thing that I find interesting is that, we've spoken for months, and Trish is pretty focused on this, about operatives. I just was in D.C. the other day, of course, and at the National Press Club after George and I finished our press conference, which I promise you I will follow up with them on. The next thing that they had there was Cheryl Atkinson and her book, The Smear, which talks specifically about the manipulation of social media with the intent of, suppressing alternative views. And of course, I've tried to make Crowdsource the Truth an open forum for people to share ideas. But just saying, oh, this person is, full of shit or whatever, that's not really sharing an alternative point of view. Perhaps if someone shared an article that showed that some element of what you said was factually incorrect, that would be a better approach. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, let's look at that for a second. And first of all, let me clear up a few bullshit comments. I'm sorry to use that terminology,
right.
But it really is. Number one, the Hudson groups, and notice that is plural.
Yes.
Consists of many individuals who come from various professions within the intelligence community.
Right.
Some of these individuals were police officers, detectives. That's true, but that's good information to receive from these people, because they're the ones that walked the beats of the cities of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go into detail as to where these people came from. I'm not going to mention their name. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And if people don't like that, don't listen to the Hudson reports.
Right.
But these people have lives. They have families, and I am not, under any circumstance, even if I was standing before a federal court, I would not divulge any of these people's names or their backgrounds. I'm not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if people don't like it, tough.
That's obviously the reason why you and I communicate and disseminate your information under the code name Rock Hudson, to protect people's identities.
That is correct. The other thing is that people have made the claim that I am George Webb. Folks, I am not George Webb.
No.
Some people have made the claim that I know now his brother, Dave Acton. I am not Dave Acton. And although Dave Acton irritated me by saying that I was boring and I didn't have anything worthwhile to say, I don't know what his motivation was. And I will tell you now that my comment back about his service had nothing to do with whether he served honorably or not. Mr. Acton did, in fact, serve honorably. All of us served honorably, I can tell you that. Even within the Hudson groups, we served honorably, but that does not mean we do not have skeletons in our closets. If you think that you're talking to people that were never involved in something that someone would consider would be squeaky clean, that's just not the case. It is not easy, folks, to protect a nation. The unfortunate thing is that the deep state has decided a long time ago to involve themselves in illegal activities. And I can assure you that we chose not to do that. Did some of us do it? Yes. Not realizing what we were involved with until a later time, when we began to open our eyes and recognize that, hey, and we began to question that there were some things very wrong. You want to blame us for that? Go ahead.
Well, and of course, a lot of these operations are highly compartmentalized, so you might not even know that you're participating in something that might be questionable.
People go into the intelligence services, I'm just going to say it, they go in there with great intentions. Most of the individuals that go into the various intelligence services and the alphabet soup, even the law enforcement services like the FBI, the DEA, these are not bad people. These are not bad young men and women that seek to go in there to become criminals.
Mm-hmm.
How things go awry and the things that people become involved with and they choose to continue with, that happens after the fact. But most, if not all, go in there with good intentions of serving their country and protecting the nation. It is very irritating to me for people to say that individuals who go into the military with the intentions of becoming some mindless, murdering mercenary, that's just bullshit.
Right.
That's ridiculous. I mean, think about it. We're talking about your own sons and daughters if they went in. How would you like it if somebody said, well, your son was a criminal from day one, and that's why he went and joined the DEA. Right. He didn't join the DEA because he didn't want to fight against drugs. He went into the DEA because that's what he wanted to do.
Right.
What happens after that? Well,
it's complicated.
Bad decisions are made. It is. So I'm appalled at some of the comments, and I'm just not going to agree with it. And so I am not George Webb. I am not Dave Acton. I am not. This is not some kind of scam. And on top of that, not one time have I promoted anything about myself. Myself and the people associated with the Hudson groups, we're not out to make a name for ourselves. We're not out to seek fame and fortune. We're trying to assist. And as a matter of fact, people can even ask George Webb. We have been instrumental in assisting Mr. Webb in his endeavor to expose the Awan brothers spy ring. and we still are, and we will still continue to assist him, as well as you. Are there some disagreements or maybe a little bit of personality sandpaper going on? Sure, but that doesn't mean that we're not working together. It doesn't mean that we don't respect each other and appreciate each other. Again, just poison dart crap that some people just insist on throwing.
You know, Mr. Hudson, I would just keep in mind, it's really only been a couple of weeks since you and I were able to work together for you to come forward and do these recorded calls. And I know it's a stark contrast to the way that you are used to operating in your career historically. Even having your voice recorded and broadcast to the thousands of people that listen to these calls was a big shift for you. So I would also keep in mind that, you know, as George's work moves forward, as the work of Crowdsource the Truth moves forward, both in terms of the Awan brothers investigation, of course we've been advancing the work of Charles Ortel by helping him publicize his investigation into the Clinton Foundation. All of these matters are coming to a head. And, you know, this is far less important and of far less bearing, but certainly a nuisance. We've got the highly stupid Robert David Steele, who continues to run his idiotic, childish operations of making up fake lawsuits and telling people incorrectly that he's filed a lawsuit when all he's done is written a document in Microsoft Word and published it on the internet, which is essentially abuse of process, something else that will come up if and when he ever actually does file that lawsuit, which I'll happily answer. But each of these individuals, and I think Robert David Steele has added, I don't even want to use the word importance because he's such a fool and so unimportant, but he's taking a more active role as a disinformation agent against the efforts that we're taking as we advance on these more important players like the Awan brothers, like the Clinton Foundation, etc. So I do believe someone thinks that Robert David Steele and his minions, including Mango Suarez, whatever his name is, can be used as a weapon against us to try to sow discontent among the individuals in our group and in the comments and the people that follow what we're saying and listen to this information. So I wouldn't let it bother you. I fully appreciate your service to this country and your willingness to speak to our Crowdsource community members and me. I have to thank you. I don't think I do that often enough.
It doesn't bother me personally, Jason. It bothers me because I don't want it to hurt the interested and innocent people that are concerned for their safety and their family's safety and the nation's safety that are tuning in to Crowdsource the Truth. I keep saying news network, but that's how I see it. I think that what you're doing and what you're accomplishing and the continued growth and direction of Crowdsource is nothing less than amazing. It's needed.
Thank you.
People like Mr. Ortel and Dr. Corsi and others that you're bringing on. This is something that's just desperately needed, and I commend you because you actually give them an opportunity to speak. You don't sit there and interrupt them. There's no ego plays taking place like you see with Alex Jones and other talking heads that have their own agenda and won't let anybody get a word in edgewise. And so, to me, what Crowdsource the Truth is doing is downright refreshing and revolutionary in the world of news and especially independent news. George's investigation into the spy ring of the Awan brothers and how it ties in with Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Huma Abedin and former Congressman Weiner and Hillary Clinton is paramount.
Yeah.
It's one of the best investigations that we have ever witnessed.
Yeah.
Conducted by an individual that was not formally trained by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We commend him, we support him, and I cannot speak highly enough of him. Mm-hmm. His work is excellent. Mm-hmm. Now, for people to play into this in any way negative should be ashamed of themselves. As far as the information goes that we have been providing to Crowdsource, if you don't believe that an ICBM travels at 15,000 miles an hour, look it up.
Yeah.
It's available online. The beauty of the Internet today is that it is an amazing educational tool.
Yep.
Think in terms of what you have access to, the Library of Congress, the Smithsonian Institute, various universities, the white papers that have been written. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, people can't push the keys to check it out.
You know, I seem to recall seeing on a NASA broadcast that the space shuttle travels at like 17,000 miles an hour, and that's a whole lot bigger and heavier than a missile. So I don't know why people have difficulty believing that.
They shouldn't. The information is open source. Now, some people are going to say, well, okay, wait a minute. Hudson is just giving us open sourced intelligence. You know what? For those people, you're idiots. Seriously? I mean, my God. Yeah, there's a lot of information that is open sourced, and there's a lot of intelligence that has, call it whatever you want, leaked out or whatever, but that information is out there. But if people think that we are actually going to break, that we're actually going to violate our national security agreements, you're stupid. Do we violate our agreements? No, but we know we have figured out a way to sidestep and work our way around these things so that we can provide you information that was secret and even top secret, but we do it in a manner so that we don't get ourselves in trouble, and two, we're able to provide you information that now has become open source by some means.
Right, without risking the security of the country.
You know, people can say whatever they want. I mean, the deep state does exist. We are against the deep state. We don't believe in it. We don't support the various rat lines that are involved in drug smuggling, weapons smuggling, child sex trafficking. All of this is true. But at the same time that we are against that, we also know through it all, we still have to be able to protect our nation against a long list of adversaries.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Hudson, over 2,000 people have viewed that last report in a pretty short while, so hopefully that'll gain some more traction, and the intelligent comments will outweigh the stupid comments pretty quickly here. And I want to thank you again for taking the time and sharing all this information. And I'm going to get with King James in just a few minutes here, and I want to get both of these reports out so everyone can evaluate this information and draw their own conclusions. And, you know, perhaps our next call can focus a little bit on how the Bill Clinton presidency and some of the deep state operations that went on during that may have in fact led to the nuclearization of North Korea.
You know what? You're right. And I'm going to make a statement here, and I don't care if people like it or dislike it. Maybe some of these people are Hillary supporters for all I know. But I will tell you something. I said it before. I've said it all along, that there is a spy ring in Congress. And the people behind that spy ring was Congresswoman Schultz. It leads all the way up to Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. And if you want to know about North Korea and what was given to them and sold to them, look it up. Go back to the Clinton administration when Bill Clinton was president, and look and see what was given to North Korea by this country. Hillary Clinton has been selling state secrets. Bottom line, period, end of subject. And it's been going on for a long time. They are drug runners, sex traffickers, illegal arms dealers, and they are murderers of countless numbers of individuals that continues to build, okay? If you wonder about North Korea and the fact that they are a huge producer of meth, look it up. It is available there. The mainstream media just never really pushed those reports, but they are widely available, open sourced on the internet. Just type in North Korea methamphetamine, and you will see a large number of articles that deal with this. The intelligence that we provided you, however, is about how the North Korean population is being manipulated and controlled and literally turned into meth addicts. And that was information that is real intelligence coming right out of the country that you're not going to get from the mainstream media. So with that, I'll close, and want to thank you again, Jason, for all the hard work you do, for the support to George Webb that you give, and people continue to say that you don't. And I just want you to know, folks, it's not until we come together and decide to work together that any of this is going to work for the benefit of the people of this nation and the nation itself. Have a good day, Jason.
Take care, Mr. Hudson.
All right. God bless you.
Bye-bye.